Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Sunday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Tonight I want to do another college football team preview. Happy Sunday, Kevron, and thanks for checking in with us. Hope you are doing well, and I trust that you are, Kevron. I want to do another college football team preview because so far I've done LSU, Tennessee, Florida State, Clemson, and West Virginia, and I think that's all I've done so far, but it seems like I haven't done one in a couple of weeks, and I try to do, I don't know, I guess 25 or 30, something like that, before college football season starts. I can't do everybody because I have to post 3 or 4 videos a day just talking about the football teams, or do one really long video, but I try to do, it seems like 25 to 30 every year. I start in late April, early March, and sometimes it might be May, but it's usually April, and I try to do at least one, if not 2 per week, all the way up until football season starts. So I feel like it's time to do another one. Today I want to talk about the Nebraska Cornhuskers, because I think myself that Matt Rhule is a fantastic coach. I think Nebraska finally found the right coach, and I think they'll go somewhere if they give him time. But I know Nebraska, they're still living in the 80s and 90s, and they're impatient, and they want results, and they want them now, and they force coaches out way too soon. But I think Matt Rhule was actually the right coach for the job. He's a defensive-minded coach, but now they have brought in Dana Holgorsen to run their offense. Now, Dana Holgorsen is one of those guys that's a fantastic offensive coordinator, terrible head coach. But Marcus Satterfield was the old coordinator. He's still on staff. He's the tight ends coach now. So Dana Holgorsen is strictly calling plays, which I think will work out. So I expect their offense to make a little progress, but not much, because just like I said last year about Dylan Raiola, he looks like he's out of shape. He's got a noodle arm. His release is too slow. Nothing about him is impressive. Now, if you give him 3 days and 7 hours to throw the football, he's pretty accurate. Hey there, Chaos. Glad to have you here. And Marfan, thank you for the like. I appreciate it. I'm doing fantastic, Chaos. Thank you for asking. Hope you are as well. And Marlon and Chaos, I believe it's the first time I've seen y'all's names in the comment section. If it's your first time here, feel free to give the video a like and a thumbs up, just like Marfin did. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And share the video on all social media platforms. And I've said before here on the channel that, and I still believe, that the only reason Matt Rhule is not the Panthers coach anymore is because the Panthers front office wanted to fix the offense first, and Matt Rhule wanted to fix the defense first, and they just butted heads and didn't get along. And the front office said, well, we're not seeing eye to eye, and we're the boss, so we're going to let Matt Rhule go. But I think the Panthers would have started winning if they would have stuck with Matt Rhule. But I think since he's a defensive-minded coach, he's not too worried about the offense trying to score 45 points a game. He just wants it to be not so slow and not so conservative. Marcus Satterfield is one of those guys where his main objective every game was to not turn the ball over. He'd rather punt every drive than try to get too risky on offense. He would just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And if he had to throw on 3rd and long, he would. But by that time, the defense knows it's coming. So I think Matt Rule just wants a coordinator that'll open it up a little bit and try to not turn the ball over and not be quite so conservative. But Dylan Raiola is out of shape, got a noodle arm, and holds the ball too long. So I think their offense will get a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to get a lot better. But they opened up the season with their 3 non-conference games, which is what most teams do, and then their last 9 games will all be conference games. First game on a Thursday night, August 28th, playing the Cincinnati Bearcats. September the 6th, Akron, and September 13th, Houston Christian. Now, I think it's pretty clear that of their 3 non-conference games, the only one that's might be halfway competitive is Cincinnati, but I think they'll beat Cincinnati. I think it'll be close for a while, but I think Nebraska will pull away in the 3rd quarter. Open up conference play on September 20th against the Michigan Wolverines. And then week 5, they have their first bye week. Open up October on the 4th against Michigan State. October the 11th, Maryland. On a Friday night, October 17th, playing Minnesota. October 25th, Northwestern. Open up the month of November on the 1st against USC. November the 8th, UCLA. And JD says he's so tuned in to college football right now. I'm locked into the Women's World Series and all this madness and these baseball regionals. You are so not tuned in. Well, I don't blame you, JD, but I know a lot of people don't tune in at all until the day the season starts right before. But I know a lot of people start looking forward to the upcoming season as soon as the previous season ends. So that's why when I do these college football schedules, I try to only do one a week. Maybe during a slow time, I might on occasion do 2 a week, but it's usually only 1 a week because not everybody is college football obsessed and they know there's other sports out there besides college football. So I feel like if I come on here, at the end of April, all of May, all of June, all of July, all of August, and only talk college football, for the people that are not that college football hungry, you're so watered down with it for me talking about it for 4.5 months that by the time the season starts, you're like, I'm not really looking forward to it. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and a lot of people have always said that's the reason why football is so popular, because not only on the calendar is the football season shorter than baseball and basketball, but also, basketball usually play about 2 games a week. College baseball, usually you play on average, about 4 games a week. Major League Baseball, you play an average of 6 games a week. Football, you play once a week for 3 months, and you're done. So a lot of folks have always said that that's what makes football so popular, because it's so short that you miss it. So when it starts, you better enjoy it. So I don't want to overdo it by talking college football in every video, but I do like to promote a little bit and talk some of the teams' early season previews. So today we're talking about Nebraska. And then right after UCLA is their second bye week. And then they close out the season with Penn State on November 22nd. And then, as always, the Friday of Thanksgiving, November 28th, they play Iowa. Now, As I said, they go 3-0 out of conference. Cincinnati should be competitive, but I think Nebraska will win. The Akron and the Houston Christian games shouldn't be close, so I got them 3-0 out of conference. Now, in conference, I think they beat Michigan State, they beat Maryland, they beat Northwestern, and they beat UCLA. So that's 3 out of conference wins and 4 conference wins, 4 and 5 in the Big Ten, 7 and 5 overall because I think they lose to Michigan, Minnesota, USC, and they wrap up the season with 2 straight losses to Penn State and Iowa. This new quarterback Michigan has is supposed to be the real deal. I just don't think Nebraska's quite ready to play with them yet. And Minnesota every year seems like they're one of those teams that always has 1 or 2 games they lose. They shouldn't lose, but they always have one game on their schedule every year that they win, and you have no idea why they won it. I think since Nebraska and Minnesota play on a Friday night in the middle of October, Minnesota pulls out that small upset. And then USC, they've got Lincoln Riley. They're going to score 40-plus points a game. I'm sorry, Nebraska can't score that. So that's why I've got them losing that game. And Penn State's a top 5 team. There's no way, unless Penn State just goes in there and lays a complete egg, that Nebraska beats Penn State. And Nebraska and Iowa, for the most part, every year, every once in a while you see an exception where one team blows the other one out. For the most part, every year when Nebraska and Iowa plays, it's always a fourth quarter game that comes down to the wire. But Iowa's finally found a quarterback that can throw a forward pass, so I expect their offense to improve just enough to beat Nebraska. But I could see Nebraska pulling that off. So me personally, I think their ceiling is 9-3. I think the floor is 6-6. So I'll go somewhere in the middle, and I'll say 7-5. Now, last year they were 7-6, counting the bowl game. This year I'll say they go 7-5. So if they win their bowl game, that's 1 game improvement. I know Husker fans aren't going to like that, but there's just too many teams on this schedule like Michigan, USC, and Penn State that I think are just better than Nebraska. So that's why I say that their ceiling is 9-3, and that's if they beat everybody except Michigan, USC, and Penn State. But Nebraska's been so average for the last 25 years that it's going to be hard for you to convince me that outside of Michigan, USC, and Penn State that Nebraska's going to play their A game the rest of the season and win every other game. I just don't see it. There'll be a slip up somewhere, so I'll go with 7-5. But if they go 8-4, their fans will be pretty doggone happy. But I'm glad to see Nebraska, after their first 3 non-conference games, open up the Big Ten season with Michigan on September the 20th, because if you go back and look at Nebraska's schedule last year, I think their first 6 games, maybe 7, they played 3 of the worst non-conference teams you could play. And then they opened up conference play with 3 of the worst teams in the conference. So after 6 games, Nebraska, that was not possible they could be anything worse than 5-1. So you knew they were going to start out good, and then it was kind of going to fall apart with them, and it did. But it wasn't anything they did wrong. They just started playing good teams, and they weren't that good. So this year it's good to see them play their 3 non-conference games and then open up conference season with Michigan. I think Michigan's going to be pretty good this year. Hey there, Daniel. Glad to have you here. I just got done covering my prediction for the 2025 college football season for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I've got them going 3-0 out of conference, 4-5 in the Big Ten and 7-5 overall, with losses to Michigan, Minnesota, USC, Penn State, and Iowa. And as I always say, if they beat one of these teams that I have them losing to, don't come at me saying, you said they'd lose that game, because I'm just talking overall record. It's hard to break down every single game and get every single game right. That's not going to happen. But say I've got them losing to Minnesota. If they beat Minnesota, but then they lose to UCLA, that still puts them at 7-5. So focus more on me saying 7-5 than me telling you who they lose to. If they go 7-5, they're 7-5. Even if they win all 5 games, I say they lose, and then lose 5 games, I say they win. 7-5 is still 7-5. So focus more on me saying 7-5 and not worry so much about who they're going to lose to. Just worry about what the overall record is. Now, if they go 10-2, then I was definitely wrong. But if they go 7-5, but they win all 5 games, I say they won't, but lose 5 other games, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're 7-5. So any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. But let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What did the pig say on a hot summer day? I'm baking. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.